Many people claim that the best things came into their lives when they least expected them. Maybe they wanted them sometime in the past, but forgot about them along the way. Often when we have certain wishes, we also have certain expectations about how this wish should be realized and within what time frame. When we expect something, we are actually tied to a certain outcome and thus open to anxiety and fear. What if it doesn't come true? Craving and suffering are like two sides of the same coin. Any attachment in this changing mortal world sometimes leads to suffering because either we don't get it or it doesn't bring what we expected. And in the end, even if we get something and are overjoyed with it at any moment due to the very nature of this world, we can lose it. That's why people are so anxious, because they live in a state of constant threat of non-existence. Many of our desires often come from a feeling of spiritual hunger and unfulfillment. They come from lack, incompleteness. You think in your head how bad and tragic your life is without something, and that's exactly what you need to complete you. Every time we focus on flaws, we increase the likelihood of more flaws and problems appearing. Despair and negative thinking essentially block the fulfillment of our desire. It is wanted from a state of minus, not from a plus, from lack and desire, not from gratitude and a positive attitude. So you need to recognize that and turn things around by focusing on positive thoughts related to your desire. What you want without feelings of longing and expectation is what you want from an attitude of gratitude. That's why what we want most often comes when we forget about it. That is, when we are no longer tied down, when we are not lacking. And then what happens? When you have no expectations, any outcome is acceptable to you. It is complete freedom from anxiety, the spell of indulgence, the adventure of life. So, act according to what your heart tells you, but do not judge the correctness of your actions by the results you get. Because of your expectations of how certain situations should happen and they don't, you think things aren't working out, but you don't actually see the bigger picture, let alone the whole picture of events where everything is actually working out exactly as it should, and that's for your spiritual good. Attachment makes it impossible to recognize something else that comes to us so unnoticed and causes us to push it away, thinking that it is not good, that it is even bad. As long as your actions are based on gratitude, truth, and goodness, what you did is what you were meant to do, regardless of the outcome. Sometimes we humans rely too much on some future that we have created in our head, but in reality we simply have to rely on the divine plan or destiny plan. Man dreams, God decides, says the proverb. We must have faith that patience, honesty, persistence, and a heart full of hope will always lead us to the right place. Be patient and everything will make sense when you least expect it. It is clear as day that a person needs to work hard, but we must always be aware that sometimes all the efforts in this world cannot help you get what you envisioned and within the time frame you envisioned. So always remember that. If it doesn't go according to plan, it goes according to fate. Here, it is necessary to understand in more detail one of the greatest virtues, the virtue of non-attachment. It naturally stems from love and devotion to God. Devotion to God has two wonderful fruits, namely wisdom and detachment. It is difficult to develop them separately, so the real question is how to develop love for God. How does one develop love for someone? So you get to know him and spend a lot of time with him in affection and respect. But we will not talk about that now. Let's go back to non-attachment. It has been known since ancient times that walking on spiritual paths required the traveler to be unbound, unattached to everything but God. All great spiritual teachers agree on this. When we give up our attachments, our true spiritual nature comes to the surface. And the first result is that we are freed from anxiety and fear. Fear and anxiety arise from mistrust, disbelief in God's intelligence and its infinite power. If we are bound, we are not free. we can only have the illusion of freedom. Detachment does not mean giving up all our desires. Desire is a symptom of a living being, a soul. It is natural. We only give up our attachment to a certain result of our action. The moment we combine desire with the concept of non-attachment, we will get what we want. When circumstances do not seem to be in your favor, simply let go of your own ideas of what they should be, and know that in our limited knowledge, we cannot see the harmonious patterns of the creation of which we are a part. Give yourself permission to live without the worry and fear that comes from attachment. Living without care does not mean living irresponsibly, without a plan and without action. No, we as people must and want to act, but we should act without expecting a certain result. That's the only way you can experience the freedom you never imagined. Failure then cannot stop you because it no longer exists in your perception. Understand, there is no such thing as failure. There is only a way. When you have no expectations, you come into contact with a great truth, which is that you leave the outcome to God. That way you can always get a lot more because God is able to do more than anything you can think of. So leave the outcome in God's hands as you diligently work according to your plan. Surrender to the process and know that good things come to you when you least expect them. Of course, you can expect what you want to happen, but you should also expect that anything can happen. It is a state of unexpected expectation. Maybe right now you are not in the place in life you imagine to be, but with faith in God and patient action, anything is possible. Don't be attached to anything, but be open to everything. Believe that you are always guided. Nothing in this world exists by chance, without meaning and without permission. Always be aware that in God's creation, everything happens for our ultimate good, because God is all good and all merciful and never makes mistakes. Let go of all attachments except your attachment to God and surrender to His plan. Have faith that things always happen in the right way and at the right time.